I'm doing a series of video bios to give you an idea of my own evolution. This one is about environmentalism, conservation. Starting in 1965, I was working with the work of the great marine biologist who founded, for all intents and purposes, the environmental movement. Rachel Carson, in her seminal book, Silent Spring. It's on her shoulders that the entire environmental movement stood. And then Ralph Nader was a major influencer of all of us who were interested in cleaning up our water and air and soil, and promoting more sustainable living and cleaner and healthier living in urban, rural, and suburban environments. I wrote my first book on the environment, Clearer, Cleaner, Safer, Greener, a blueprint for a new environment, to coincide with Earth Day, the first Earth Day. And I toured the United States at that time, talking about how we had to protect our planet from pollution and the polluters. From then till now, I've done probably over 1,000 radio broadcasts on the environment. I've written dozens of scientific papers and lay papers on the environment, just 12 in the last year alone. A new book, it's called Saving the Planet, and it deals with what we as individuals can do and then collectively do, and then hopefully motivate our local, state, and governments to do, and then the world community to do together, like a Marshall Plan to save the world. I've also directed and narrated multiple films on the environment. The latest is one of the most comprehensive, if not the most comprehensive film ever produced on the problems in our world, not just about global warming, but also the acidification of the ocean and the bleaching of the coral reefs and factory farming, acid rain, everything that's wrong with our environment, the desertification, the destruction of the lungs of the planet, in effect selling out the Brazilian rainforest, which really belongs to the world, so they can grow meat for McDonald's and Burger King. So if you want to save the Amazon, stop eating meat.
We're in the midst of the sixth mass extinction on planet Earth. We are warming the planet approximately 10 times faster than it was warmed during the Great Dying, the worst of the mass extinction events, when the global average temperature went from ice age to beyond hothouse, somewhere between 900 and about 19,000 years. We're headed there in as little as a decade.
We've been here only 150,000 years, and we've become so powerful that we are undermining the very things that keep us alive.
We're on the brink because 7.6 billion people demanding more and more and more. The so-called American dream has infected the entire planet.
We create a problem that we deny all of these years in order to support a fossil fuel system. And then when finally faced with the crisis, we're over the edge of the cliff. We then think we're smart enough, we're going to invent a new way of capturing that carbon and putting it down again. It's crazy. Nature already had that carbon capture and sequestration. They're called trees.
I also did Saving the Planet One Bite at a Time, another environmental film.
Animals must be off the menu because tonight they are screaming in terror in the slaughterhouses, in crates and in cages. Vile, ignoble gulags of despair. Their eyes stabbed out and their tendons slashed, and the dying mother wail as a harpoon explodes in her brain as she calls out to her calf. We suffer as equals, and in their capacity to suffer, a dog is a pig, is a bear, is a boy. Meat kills animals, kills us, and is killing our economies. They could shut down every school, Army, Navy, Air Force, Homeland Security, Marines, CIA, and FBI, and they still will not have the money to pay their doctor bills. Meat causes a wide range of cancers and heart disease. Would they name one disease caused by a vegetarian diet? And our Cornell and Harvard say that the optimum amount of meat in a healthy human diet is precisely 0. 90% of small fish are ground up into pellets to feed to livestock. Vegetarian cows today are the world's largest ocean predators. The oceans are dying in our time. By 2048, all our fisheries will be dead, the lungs and the arteries of the earth. Oceans sequester more CO2 than all the forests of the world put together. It is a crime of unimaginable proportion.
Curing the Incurable, very important film, documentary about doctors curing their patients on a plant-based diet. And a plant-based diet is a diet that is lowering the carbon footprint. If you just ate locally grown, organically grown, plant-based foods, you're making a big difference.
My liver had like 2-3 lesions. Doctor said it was stage 4 cancer, right? He told me the only hope is doing a hysterectomy. I didn't want to go that way.
So I was given 2 chronic diagnoses. One is chronic lymphatic leukemia, which is a blood-borne cancer, and the other is chronic bronchitis. Chronic bronchitis is a form of COPD. I was told by my physicians that hospice care would be the next step for me.
I knew in my heart that there was something else I could do.
Look at all the millions of people every year working in hospitals and research centers and universities with governmental agencies, all have something in common. They all want to find cures to overcome many diseases, heart disease, cancer, mental illness. And we've been doing this for decades. We've had an official war on cancer for over 45 years. We can now say unequivocally that today we have found cures for diabetes, for arthritis, depression and anxiety disorders, dementia, memory loss, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, osteoporosis, and many other conditions. I also did another film that was very popular on PBS stations that aired it, called Plant Codes. The green covering of plant life across the earth is the matrix from which all creatures, including human life, is supported. Plants sustain us with breath and sustenance. Throughout human history, we have understood that being close to nature, the rivers, the ponds, the streams, the mountains, the lakes, being able to live in balance with it has enhanced our well-being. Using nature, the herbs, the plants, the nuts and seeds, the grains, the legumes and pulses, the tubers, fruits, the different berries, the herbs. A plant-based diet was a primary way of helping to prevent disease or help treat disease if you were sick. When we look throughout history, we will find that over a period of many millennia, people at different times lived longer lives and at other times shorter lives. Why? Why is it today, with all that we have and all that we know, we still are not increasing our lifespan and the quality of that life? What are the primary causes of disease? We're still acting as if we don't know the cause. Yes, we do. But standing between the truth, what causes a disease, and hence our ability to prevent it, are special interests. We're making hundreds of billions of dollars a year by providing us with the very elements that then increase our opportunity for obesity, diabetes, heart disease, cancers, plus the pollution within our environment. Join us now in our journey to health and wellness.
Monsanto was the company that told us that PCBs were safe. They told us that Agent Orange was safe. They told us that DDT was safe, and now they're in charge of telling us if their own genetically modified foods are safe.
Every single independent study conducted on the impact of genetically modified food shows that it damages organs, it causes infertility, it causes immune system failure, it causes holes in the GI tract, it causes multiple organ system failure.
We are heading downhill at a rapid rate of speed toward our own extinction.
According to the American Heart Association, more than 17 million Americans have heart disease.
By 2050, 1 in 3 adult Americans will have diabetes.
Nearly 800,000 Americans will have a stroke this year alone. 1 in 12 will have another stroke soon after the first one.
According to the Centers for Disease Control, Americans are the fattest people in the world.
Somewhere along the line, we lost what we once knew. We're surrendering to the written laws of man and his corrupt corporate self rather than adhering to the laws of nature.
Now with genetically engineered seed that originally was free in India because it belonged to the farmers. In the genetic engineering revolution, these seeds are now patented property of one corporation called Monsanto.
Those pesticides, more and more, are in these plants, and if it's washed off, then it's in the water, it's everywhere.
The number one threat to all of humanity, global climate change. Cattle and other animals give off a lot of methane, and methane is far more potent than carbon dioxide.
Unfortunately, in our country, I don't think most people think very much about what they're doing and fail to fully recognize the consequences of their actions.
First atomic bomb was dropped on Hiroshima, a military base. We won the race of discovery against the Germans. We have used it in order to shorten the agony of war, in order to save the lives of thousands and thousands of young Americans.
It was an accident at the 3 Mile Island nuclear power plant. A cooling pump broke down, and the plant did just what it was supposed to do, shut itself off. But not before some radioactivity had escaped.
宮古市にこれは津波が押し寄せた瞬間の映像ということで、これ海見て本当思うんですけど黒いんですよね。
Fires triggered by Friday's quake are burning out of control up and down the coast, including this one at an oil refinery in Ichihara. A fire was also reported at a turbine building at a nuclear power plant. Authorities say no radiation has leaked.
Around 200,000 people who live near the Fukushima nuclear power plant have been evacuated as a precaution. Authorities claim so far just a few have tested positive but showed no health problems.
Radiation in excess of what the government says are the minimum amounts you should be exposed to are actually good for you and reduce cases of cancer.
All kinds of radiation. What kind of payback is this?
The worst nuclear disaster in human history is Chernobyl. The UN says 4,000 people died because of that. That's the I hate nukes people that have adjusted that number. Stu, what are the confirmed dead from Chernobyl? Was it 40?
There is really zero chance that any radiation is going to move out of, even if the outer containment structure exploded and moved from Japan to the United States and create any health problem whatsoever.
California Republican Congressman Devin Nunes wants to see 200 new reactors built. Congressman, that's going to be a tough sell these days. How do you think it's going to go?
My hope and my prayer is that everything ends up okay over time and people realize that nuclear power is the way to go ultimately.
So those are the most current contributions. I've also led demonstrations against GMOs. One of the efforts, we had nearly 6,000 members of my radio audience meet in Prospect Park in Brooklyn, and over a 10-day period, with others from around the United States, march to Lafayette Park, which is right across the street from the White House, to protest GMOs, genetically modified foods.
I'm standing between the White House and Lafayette Park, where thousands of individuals have come from around the United States to offer a voice of challenge to the FDA. They're concerned about their rights in the future to take supplements that they deem important, or their physician deems important for their well-being. The Obama administration promised when they came into office that it wouldn't be business as usual, and yet it's business as usual. Individuals are also here to protest the FDA's support of genetic engineering, but has said nothing in support of organic and sustainable agriculture.
The public is being informed at the very time that the Facebook and Google and YouTube are censoring the information if you challenge any of the orthodox and mainstream thoughts about our food. So if you're against GMOs and you're for organic, they think somehow you're a threat to society. So we have even greater tasks ahead of us.
This only works today if you start pulling off the grid of everything that empowers the 1%. So you no longer are putting money in the people who find you in contempt. All right? So today, no more credit cards from their banks. No more food from their stores. No more clothes from their stores where they're using labor, paying them 15 cents an hour in Bangladesh. From now on, make your choices from a spiritual, enlightened perspective. Thank you all.
I've spent my entire adult career in one area as an environmentalist, conservationist, ecologist, organic farmer, certified organic farmer, teaching people, because we have to live that life. And that's why I'm a vegan. That's why I eat organic. And that's why I seek out foods that are locally grown, go to local farmers markets. And that's just one of my biographies.